Good evening, everybody. Tonight we are doing something special, but before we get into that something special with these pork loins, I want to talk to you guys about a little safety kind of feature here. Okay, so when you're cooking and you pull something out of the freezer, if you don't have any time to keep it in the refrigerator for a certain amount of time, like a couple of days to let it thaw out, and you have to let it thaw out on the counter, you shouldn't leave it out more than a couple of hours. Now today, I got real busy on the phone and doing a couple interviews, on the radio interviews, and I just never came out to check on my pork loins that were actually defrosting. Well, when I got out here, they were cool to the touch, but they were totally thawed out. So I called my local meat butcher and I said, "Hey, meat butcher, Pee-wee, what's up?" Pee-wee says to me, "What's the problem?" I said, "Not a problem." I said, "I just don't know if I can cook these things." And he said, "How long you had them out?" I said, "About 5 hours." And I said, "They're totally thawed out, they're cool to the touch." He says, "They're pork, you're fine. Seafood and chicken, I'd throw it away. But we should be okay, these are cool to the touch, let's get into the marinade." So be careful when you're thawing things out. Little caution there. We're going to start off with a little bit of Bacardi rum on this bad boy. And this is from the new book. And the maple syrup. Putting about maybe 3 ounces of maple syrup on it. The stuff at the bottom here will end up being the finishing glaze. On top we put a generous amount of black pepper. This is very, very simple. This is what, the guys on the open range would be doing, right? This is a very simple marinade. All they have is a little bit of pepper and salt with them, at best. And they'd be lucky to have something to sweeten it up with maple syrup. They probably wouldn't have that. But now we've got a good amount of pepper on that side. We go to the other side and we'll do the same thing. These are some thick pork loins. These are about 1.25 inches, and this one here on the end is about 1.5 inches. They're very, very thick. That is the way I like to do pork loins, and they're very quick. This is a F.E.C.T meal. This is fast, easy, convenient, tasty. This is a very, very, very fast and easy meal to make. These will be on about 35 minutes, and they will be delish and ready to eat. Bing and bang is done. That's how quick that marinade happens, right? It's really simple. You thaw these babies out and put them in. You could do a little bit of thawing out with these things overnight, so it infuses, but I didn't have time today, and it was a last minute thought. I felt like having pork loins tonight, so there you have it. All right, folks, we are grill side. Got my mesquite wood going, and over here you can see I've got my finishing glaze inside the marinator, which is just Jack Daniels. Take that back. This is actually rum. This is a nice Bacardi rum, dark rum, with some maple syrup, and it's obviously got a little bit of the black pepper in it. Tonight, let's see here how our grill marks are looking. Yeah, we'll go ahead and switch those babies sideways. They've been on about 7 minutes. Yeah, got some good grill marks going there. And so we'll get a nice crisscross going on those babies. And let's go ahead and talk about the pairing of the wine. So I spent about a week in the Tuscany area called Siena, and I fell in love with the Chianti Classico wine, which means it's made in the region, and it's all made with the Sangiovese grape. Now Sangiovese, the grape itself, is actually a fairly heavy grape. By itself, it's much bigger than if you do an 80-20, which means Chianti Classico is made with 80% of the Sangiovese grape and 20% with like a Merlot or a Muscat or a variety of other grapes, red grapes that you can use that are found there in Italy. But this is a great wine, and for the price of about $2.99 for a bottle of it, it was a good find. I found it at Trader Joe's. But this is big. This has got a good size bouquet on it. Very nice. And it's very good. for the money. Now, the better Sangioveses and the better Chiantis, obviously, you're going to spend a lot more money. But you know, for every day drinking wine, when you're doing a little pairing, this is a great little wine. And like I said, it's big enough that it can handle the pork. So let's see what we have down here. Yeah, those are looking really nice. Nice grill marks are going. We're going to switch those over. Do a little 180. 180 means we're turning it over. That's what it means. I got it in the book. 180 effectively means turning over the meat or the grilled item, whatever it might be. So there you have it. We'll come back here in a little while, do a little delish taste. On the side, by the way, we're doing some potatoes. We're doing some julienne potatoes right here at grill side. I don't want to cook anything inside. It's too hot in there. Little woman will be inside, and she's going to cook us up a real nice cool salad. And there's no cooking involved there. She'll just be tossing a salad in there. And now we're going to do a little delish taste on these. Now, there's a couple things we do when we're doing these. First thing we do is taste it. Make sure we're close. You don't want any red in the pork. That's the one thing you don't want. This is very moist. Oh, that is amazing. That is totally on the open range. Now, in the Old West, depending on where you were at, you would use the wood of choice. And the wood of choice would have been what's available. If you were in Texas, you'd probably get mesquite or hickory. If you were in Oklahoma or Nevada, you would get probably hickory, possibly some oak, or any other variety of trees that might be in the area. But it wasn't about, you know, going to the store and getting a certain kind of wood that you want to smoke the meat with to make it perfect. It was whatever you had to cook it over. You cooked it over open coals, and that's how it was in the Old West. Now, the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these in half. And as you can see, it's very moist on the inside, but I cut them in half when I'm cooking them relatively quickly. And what that does is it'll thoroughly cook the inside because these are very thick. And then I call it surrounding the wagon. So we keep the open side that hasn't been exposed to any smoke, just like the Indians surrounding a wagon, the wagon train. Now, the glaze is going on. I already put the glaze on the other side. So this glaze is going on. Oh man, that smells amazing. And it looks beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful little pork loins. They go from pork loins to pork tenderloins at this point because they're tiny little things. They're medallions. You can call them steak medallions if it's red meat. These little pork loin medallions are going to just be fantastic. 4 or 5 minutes from now, perfection will be here. We've already done the delish taste, and it is amazing. Now we're just finishing these things up. Pretty much done putting that glaze on. We don't want to put any more additional glaze on it because that marinade was sitting with the raw pork loins, and I didn't boil it. So we're going to let that smoke for another 4 or 5 minutes, and they will be finished, finito, and ready for consumption. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoy your time at the grill.